What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Splash Podcast. I'm your boy Cliff. Joining me as always is Zeke the Geek. In today's video, we're talking about the next entry in the Emmy award winning Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, WandaVision won an Emmy for that show. So the MCU now has awards under its belt. So it is now an award winning series. But yeah, we're
It's
talking
not been an
about.
Oscar for Endgame?
I don't
For
know.
Endgame?
I don't think so.
Didn't Endgame even win the special effects award?
Mm-mm. Nope.
What the heck won the special effects awards though that year?
Who knows? Probably focusing on something else. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, we're here for the next entry, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi, let me make sure I pronounce that right. And the Legend of the Ten Rings. It's a movie that like a lot of people have been waiting for. It was my most anticipated film of Phase 4 so far. Uh, we saw this. You saw it like what was it? The Thursday night or Friday
I
night?
don't know if people are waiting for it, but I feel like
I feel like there were some
people
people
just
who were like waiting
I
for it.
feel like people more so just were ready for the next chapter of the MCU to feel like the world's back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the last real big thing that we all shared together as a collective was Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, Spider-Man.
Right.
So Black Widow, it's different because it's a flashback movie.
Right. Like this is the first after Spider-Man like story that takes place after. Well,
Yeah.
no, WandaVision also takes place and Falcon and the Soldier.
I mean, they
But
all
in
do,
term
but
in
in
terms
terms
of
of being
movie,
back in the movie,
yeah.
yes. Big
Mm,
budget, we hear
right.
the thing that all brought us all to the dance
Mm,
because it wasn't in huge.
mm. Exactly. But yeah, Shang-Chi, Legend of Ten Rings. This will be a spoilers discussion at
Iron
some
Fist
point.
done right.
We dropping bombs already. But yeah, we'll try and keep this, I guess, spoiler free for like 2 minutes. Or do you just want to go straight into spoilers, just right out the
No,
gate?
it's been out for 2 weeks. We'll do a quick
Mm,
non-spoiler.
Okay, well, yeah. So, yeah, you go first. What do you think about the movie just in general?
Uh, Shang-Chi was fun. I had fun. I went
Mm,
with my girlfriend, and she had a fun time.
mm,
She was laughing. I had a good time. Um, I thought it was, I think the action is great. I was telling Cliff you the other day. It's probably the best action in the MCU to date
mm.
in terms of hand to hand combat. Um,
Even better than the scene from Winter Soldier where it's Cap versus Bucky, like in the
Still
street.
cut. It's still cut up. It's
Didn't they
good.
cut in Shang-Chi too for some scenes?
They do in some, but not a lot. Like the first action scene, like yeah, it's tighter, so it's different. But like
Mm,
the scaffolding scene, there's a lot more shots that breathe. I just wish we pulled out instead of being so tight sometimes. But anyway, we'll
mm,
get into all that. I had fun. I had a good time with this movie, man. It was just nice to just be back and like have the MCU style laughs and like just be caught up in the story, be caught up in the spectacle. I'm not sitting here saying it's my favorite MCU movie ever.
mm.
Um, just in terms of this was a breath of fresh air because we're not directly, following a bunch of sad boys who are like, oh, our friends are dead or our friends left. And,
I mean, we are
oh,
following
the
a sad
world.
boy though.
We are, but like, at least he has a happy friend
Yeah.
to balance him out.
Mm.
And that's something I will say
He has
is
his roadie,
I
his
feel like
Bucky.
our main character
Mm-hmm.
shines physically, but doesn't shine anywhere significantly. Like even like he had great moments all throughout this movie, but in terms of emotional, impactful moments,
Mm-hmm.
no. And I know this actor can do it. Like I really enjoy Simu
Kim's
Liu's
convenience.
work.
Exactly.
Um, so I
Kim's
know
convenience
the
is a
dude
great
can
example.
act. That's not the problem. I just feel like Shang-Chi Shang-Chi 2 will definitely fix this. I
Mm,
hope. I hope. Can't see into the future. But, I feel like, hey, it's first one out of the gate. And that's
right.
first one out of the gate with a new character, an origin story at that. Um, good. Good job, Marvel. Right direction. Keep it
Mm,
up. What about you,
exactly.
man?
Uh, to bounce off what you said, I think this is one of the better solo outing movies, which isn't saying much. I feel like in the MCU because I feel like they're like
Entertaining.
yeah, it's entertaining. Like compared to the other stuff, I think this Black Panther and Iron Man are still like the best solo outing stories in the MCU as of right now in terms of like movies. And Winter Soldier, I'll add that because that's like an ensemble piece,
I mean, all
but
of Captain America's movies are an ensemble piece for the most part. I mean,
yeah.
every movie is an ensemble piece for the most part, but in terms of like, it's mainly about this character. Let's
Mm,
just keep it in the origin realms. I would
okay.
say
Okay, then yeah, then Iron Man, Black Panther, and Shang-Chi are or at least for me, the top
like
three so far.
Solo. Like I would also say Guardians of the Galaxy is a good origin story for the Guardian of the Galaxy, but
Mm,
that's also an ensemble cast. You know, if it
mm.
was just Chris Pratt, I think we'd be having a different conversation. Um, I
Whew. But I should say also, I
I
enjoyed the
want
movie.
him to have a win.
Who, Chris?
I want him to have a win. Like people are really excited about the Jurassic World franchise, and I'm like, I haven't cared, but like people talk about it with reverence now, and I'm like, when? Since when?
Hey,
We
maybe
all
people
agree, like
finally.
it's making billions of dollars. I get it,
Mm,
but I don't think that translate into what I
quality.
saw rocked my socks off. Anyway, I know that's not the conversation we're
Like
having,
you didn't love when Bryce
but
Dallas
I
Howard
just want.
ran with the flare and the high heels and the kitten heels with the T Rex behind her.
And apparently, she has like a cult, like a weird male cult that's in love with her. And I'm like, listen, Bryce Dallas Howard is a gorgeous woman.
Mm.
I just think some of this stuff is unhealthy.
No, definitely. Fan culture and like simp culture is very unhealthy in movies, and like it's crazy. But yeah, but like I'm entertained with the movie. I agree. I think Shang-Chi, like visually he's great, but I think in terms of like emotion and like a character arc, he's the least interesting. And like I know that's I guess it might be controversial, don't know, but like everything else about the movie, like even Tony Leung as Winwoo, as much as I feel like he's also okay, he's still at least more interesting to watch on screen, just because he's a great actor, and like the world of
Doing a
and all
lot
that.
without having to do a lot.
Right, exactly. And like I say, even though I think the character arc itself is just pointless and like it,
Oh, I mean, yeah, go on.
he like this is kind of getting the spoiler territory. I'll save it for later, but overall, I enjoyed the movie. I'm definitely gonna pick it up on Blu-ray. If I got Doctor Strange on Blu-ray, which is an okay like Marvel origin story, I think I'm gonna add Shang
I
Chi to
like
that.
Doctor Strange
No,
quite a bit.
I think it's cool. It's okay, but like I'm not out here like, oh man, y'all need to see Doctor
It's
Strange. Like,
not. It's not. We haven't gone full Doctor Strange yet. I mean, we did
mm,
in What If, but I would like to see that in live action.
yeah, I agree.
Which,
Exactly.
real quick, side tangent, fun theory: the Doctor Strange fighting Peter Parker is the Doctor Strange from What If. Anyway, back to Shang Chi.
Okay. Okay. We'll come back around to
Unless
that
you want to
when
comment on that.
we'll come back around to it when Spider-Man drops. We'll have plenty of time to mention that. I'll tag this part in the video. That way when we record, I'll bring it back up. Hey, remember this? Watch this, people. Here we are. Let's talk about it now. But yeah, overall, I enjoy Shang-Chi. I do have some small gripes. They might be nitpicks. They might not be,
I do.
especially for like how they use Abomination. And then they also pull a joke at the end of this movie that they did 10 years ago.
I like Abomination's use because we'll get into it.
Yeah, like I said, we'll get into it. But like, yeah, I enjoy the movie.
Trailer, not a spoiler.
Yeah, this movie did enough work for me to be interested in the sequel and seeing where these characters
Yeah.
go. So
Yeah.
let's just get into spoilers let's go right into it. Uh,
Yeah.
where do we even start with this? There's a dragon at the end, and I loved it. There's a whole kaiju fight, like, and I'm all here for it. I love how the dragon is low key a waterbender. Like, I'm all here for it. It's great.
This is the most anime
Most anime.
live action movie I've seen in a
Mm.
very long time.
For a second, I thought they were going to say that the dragon was their mother because she never shows up again after the like first
No,
5
she
minutes of
did.
the movie.
It's just
Well,
there are
just to show that she
reveals
was
and
murdered. Yeah.
flashbacks that happen at the wrong times in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the flashbacks were weirdly placed.
Mm.
Um, I feel like we should have done all of that up front.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
Slice
get
in
what you're saying. Yeah,
between
yeah,
he's
yeah.
returning, certain things remind him of certain moments, and then we lived in there for like 2 to 3 minutes, and then we get back to the
Mm.
main story early, and then we just keep up real time for the like final half of the second, and then
Mm.
all the final third.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you mean in the moment where he tells Aquafina's character like, "Oh, my dad actually sent me off to kill. A blood death has to be it has to be paid with blood. Like he sent me off to kill somebody. Like I think we should actually saw that moment so we can actually truly feel how it felt
yeah,
in that moment. Which I think is a misfortune of this movie, unfortunately, because I feel like I probably would have truly cared for Shang, in by that point. But yeah, I agree. I think if they also showed the flashback to his mom dying right after him, like right after Wenwu fell in love with her, we got it. We good. We get it. Then we can move on from there, essentially. But yeah, I thought they were going to reveal that like the dragon was the mom as well, because I also feel like the dragon kind of just low key shows up randomly, even though they set up that like the Great Protector helped out and has been around. Somehow it's just been chilling in the ocean for this long in Shang-Chi when he dies. Which also, this movie also feels very convenient with a lot of things. Like, super convenient. Especially with the Ten Rings, because how can Shang-Chi know how to use those? Especially if his dad put him away
his
after
father's
he met his
son.
mom.
He's seen him though. He's seen him in action.
I mean, yes, but like, there's no explanation that. Which also, the movie vaguely like leaves a lot of things open with the like history of the Ten Rings, how they actually fully work, and all that stuff. Like,
That's
they're,
because they're from the future.
oh
I
yeah, no, I
firmly
think they're kings.
believe in that.
Yeah.
I don't even think they're kings. I just believe they are things from the future that were probably
And I
made
got
by
sent back to the
celestials.
time. Ooh,
And
okay, that's
I
different.
believe like they might have something to do with like long term, like one, whoever the big bad, like when we finally get the announcement of Avengers, like
Mm-hmm.
they are gonna be that is gonna be wrapped up in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I feel like anyway.
Okay.
Um Now the Ten Rings themselves, they were not focused on. I feel like don't call the movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings if we're really not going to go into the legend of the actual Ten Rings.
Especially if you say that, like, oh, we don't know how, when we got them. Some say he got them in a cave. Some say he got them here. I'm like, okay, you're purposely leaving this open for future movies because when we get to like the actual post credit scenes, I'll
Which is
tell my
fine.
opinion
I
about
like
it.
that setup. It's just then do something earlier
Mm-hmm.
to suggest
Which again
their
goes back to
like
my thing
their
about it.
significance. The significance that they're going to have in the future, they should have had a little bit more significance within the plot of the movie.
Exactly.
But that
Because again,
aside,
mm-hmm. Because again, to bring it back to your point, that's why I feel like it's very convenient for Sean to learn how to use these 10 rings, especially when his aunt taught him the moves to how to stop his father from using them. Just like so, the auntie really could have just been the one to do the final fight if they truly wanted
I
to.
think I think the missing beat in that first encounter, the
Mm,
mother should have been able to control 5 rings, like Shang does
mm,
when she first fights him and meets him.
Which also we never go back to that
They should
moment.
have been able to do something,
I agree.
which is fine. We have that moment,
I just thought like it was going to
and it's a
converge,
nice.
like the fight was going to be like there, like oh, this is where you and where your mother and I met. So like we're going to settle this
That would
right
have been
here.
nice, poetic symmetry, but wasn't gonna
Yeah,
happen.
it's fine, but like I just thought that was
It's a
going to be
giant
a thing.
galactic
Hmm.
kaiju fight, so
Right,
um,
that's fair.
should have like their final like staff and ring battle should have taken place there personally, but they were so far away, like they were in Talo at that point, and
Hmm.
that's on the outside of Talo,
Is it?
like in terms of the actual village itself.
Hmm.
So yeah,
But
because
it, but
he didn't go through
the
the
portal,
waterfall. Remember? Yeah,
right? Because Talo is in a whole nother universe. So, but somehow she was chilling in a whole temple outside the like. It doesn't.
yeah, it's the forest. She was in a section of the forest.
Okay.
We just never returned to that section
Okay.
specifically.
Well, clearly she had to because um, the aunt and the other members of that community know that this guy existed, so they had to have either met him or
Yeah,
told
I'm
him
just saying we
about
never
her.
seen it in the movie.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. That
stuff
makes
that
sense.
happened off screen, definitely.
There's a lot of things that happened off screen in this story
Actually, I don't think he's ever been to Talo itself. No, he has. He
because he
has. He has.
knows them. He knows that like because they even said, "Oh, we just didn't accept you," and I'm like, okay, so how did he? She had to direct him to it
Yeah, but he didn't
at
know how
some
to get
point.
there.
He did it, but so like she had to have sent him, like took him there at some point,
Or all those people came out.
maybe. Because there's no telling if he brought his army back. I don't know. Like it's a lot of unclear things that we probably aren't meant to focus on. We're just like, here's the base plot. Let's move on. Basically, I feel like.
Let's talk about Trevor. Trevor Flattery. Mr. Ben Kingsley.
Oh, what a great way to reference
I
a
had so
movie I
much
haven't
fun.
seen in such a
I had
long
so much
time.
fun with that.
It was great.
I can't wait for my gigantic Marvel rewatch,
Right.
minus the shows. I'm not stupid. That's too
Mm.
much. I might watch finales, but not
Or just watch compilations on
entire
YouTube.
season.
You can watch the quick scenes on YouTube and call it a day and whatnot. But yeah, like that's a very interesting way to like bring back or like bring mention back to Iron Man 3, the thing that everyone scolded the MCU for at the time.
Iron Man 1, bro.
Oh
The
right, the
10
Ten
rings
Rings.
have
Yeah.
been dropped since Iron Man 1.
Hmm. Which also I
This is
will
Iron Man
say,
2.
did the Ten Rings actually feel threatening to you in this movie? Because they did not at all. Razor Fifth and Death Deer are just like wasted to me.
Oh, you're talking about the actual
Yeah, like the
organization, not
actual
the.
the actual organization, like the crime organization, Ten Rings.
Razor Fist was weird. Like, it was just a very interesting, like, I don't understand the choice.
Mm.
Because he was never funny to me. Like, a lot of people were like, oh, Razor Fist, just awful, just god awful. And I'm like, it was just more like,
Yeah, him and and then Death Dealer is just wasted because also they pulled a joke from the first Avengers with Death Dealer, where the giant bugs are like or like monster things are coming out, and like whoever is telling Razor Fist like, oh, we need you to help us, like we need to stop fighting, blah 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 blah. Razor Fist is like, no, we're not going to stop, and then they attack Death Dealer, take his soul, and then Razorback's like, okay, we'll help. I'm like, y'all pulled this in Avengers when Cap took out the Shatari and the cops had to work with him. I'm like, we're doing this again? Like y'all wasted Death Dealer for this? Like, what is going on here? Like that makes no sense.
granted, yes, Death Dealer was wasted, but also, I like the fact that it wasn't like this mini boss.
Mm.
He was just a guy.
He was just there for no
Granted,
reason.
I know. Trust me, I know. But it, like in the grand scheme of things, did I really care once I left the movie theater? No, I wasn't mad. Again, I was just like,
Mm.
I wasn't here for those side characters.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Like
I
if
shrugged
Death
my
Dealer
shoulder a
was
lot.
made more, because the moment I stopped caring was when Shang didn't even really have like an emotional reaction to fighting Death Dealer. And
Mm,
like I thought, oh, it's gonna be beautiful because he's gonna cut his cheek, and then it's gonna be like that, haha,
mm.
I have gotten better.
But then the dad comes in and
And
stops
that
them.
didn't happen. As soon as that didn't happen, I was like, Death Dealer's not important. Got it.
Mm.
He's just a cool dude in the suit.
That doesn't really do
Cool.
anything.
Yeah, he's just a general flunk.
He's just
And it
there.
didn't bother me because they didn't make him big and then do that. They kept him same level. It was consistent throughout the whole movie. So
Right.
I never felt like, there was no payoff for this thing. It was just sort of like, nope,
Right. And to bring it to
what
your
is it?
point, or like to add on to your point, it also wouldn't have mattered that he was the first one to get his soul taken. Since he didn't have any importance, him dying, like he was just a prop, essentially,
Exactly.
for this movie. Oh, that sucks
There was
though.
no
'Cause
like personal connection, like, him and what's his face were friends, like he was like his star pupil, blah 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 blah
you know what
blah.
would have
None
been
of that.
interesting
So
is if I would have loved to see if his sister was Death Dealer. Like if she didn't actually run away and like start her own
what
like
she has her
crime.
own character.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like I just thought
yes,
that would have been interesting if she was like, "Oh, here you are, the person who your dad sent to get the other jeweled green eye dragon piece is your actual sister, who's now the Death Dealer. Let's discuss this. You know, blah 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 blah."
they
Like,
sure didn't care about those after the
nope, you just need those. They were just used for the map to get to the magic town or magic city, whatever it is. That's all. It's truly all it was. But yeah, what do you think of what was it? Are there any other characters that like stood out to you, like that you did enjoy?
I enjoy Katie.
Aquafina's character, right?
Yeah.
Are
Um,
they
I
just
enjoy
close
Katie quite
friends,
a
or
bit.
are they like
Yep,
insinuating they're
they're
dating?
friends.
Okay,
They're friends. They're good friends.
okay.
Cool. I'm with that.
Because that ending when
It,
Wong showed up, they decided to hold hands. I'm like, so are they? Do they find each other interesting? Like,
Here's the thing: if it grows into that, cool. But they didn't need to do it here. It was just,
mm,
hey, it's acknowledging that we care about each other.
mm,
You know,
right. And also, she just had to be there for the post credit scene for some reason. But yeah, I get that. Mm. But what do you think? But what do you think of Wenwu? Like, just the villain of the story overall. Do you think he's top, like one of the top MCU villains or whatnot? Because like,
not in terms of like super uber motivation,
mm,
but he was just cool. Like what we got of him, I was never bored of him when he was on screen.
mm,
He was never freaking Malekith. You know what I mean? So
mm.
yeah, that's
Malekith
all I
was
can
Mads
really like.
Mikkelsen, right?
Huh?
Malekith was Mads
No,
Mikkelsen, right?
Mads Mikkelsen was in Doctor Strange. Malekith, the Dark Elf.
Okay. Thor 2, sorry. My bad.
I forget who that was, but
Because I will say, Wenwu feels like, or the actor. I feel like he suffers from what every other great actor who's played a villain in this franchise, outside of Killmonger and Thanos, where they're great actors, but the stuff they get is just very bland and straightforward. Like they don't actually get a chance to
and
really
Loki
shine. Yeah, and
and
Loki.
Winter Soldier.
Mm, sure, I'll add Bucky to
He
that.
was the physical embodiment of the bad guy.
Mm.
So
He's the
in that
bullet
regard,
essentially. Yeah, he's the bullet for their gun or whatever.
yes, being shot
But
by Robert Griff.
yeah, but I'm just thinking like Mads Mikkelsen, Abomination, who I'll get to him in a second because I really enjoy Abomination from The Incredible Hulk. Kate Blanchett as Hela. You know, you're getting all these really top talented actors to play these villains, but at the end of the like at the end of the day, I'm shrugging my shoulders. I'm like, oh, okay, they're gone. Whatever. Like I lied to you not. When Wenwu got eaten by the monster, I was like, okay, he's gone. Guess he's not really going to get any redemption. which it sounded like he wasn't ever going to anyway because he was just obsessed with bringing his
I mean, he
wife
had his
back.
moment. He gave the rings to Sean.
I don't know if that was really like a moment like, oh, I'm sorry. So it was just more like, oh, I'm dead. So now the rings are just gonna go to the next closest person that's around. Like it didn't feel like it was an actual like action of like sorrow or like I learned what I did wrong.
I read it as that as like
Mm.
it's up to you. Like you've earned this. These have
Did
been
Shang
my
Chi have it?
curse. Hopefully you can do better.
Mm.
You
That's
know,
fair.
that's how I read that moment. I've watched a lot of anime, sir. There's no inner monologues and no, you know,
But
episode
there
and a
are inner
half of a minute
monologues.
thinking. So
Right. If this was an anime, they would have spent like 2 episodes on just that one moment.
yeah. Also, their fight would have been longer and more dramatic.
Mm.
But and that's my thing. I feel like
The fights don't hold any weight for me. If they just feel like action pieces that were like we just need to get through. Like they're impressive and
by
fun.
that moment before we got to the actual kaiju battle,
Mm.
their fight, like
Oh, their
their
conversation.
actual fight, I was like, this should be more. It should be emotional
Mm.
because you can tell a story through a fight, and I feel like we're still missing that in the MCU. Just the emotional level that a real, well thought out fight can actually do.
Mm.
Go full anime. Let them throw a couple of hits, stop, take a moment, circle each other, have a conversation, get back into it, set up the next set piece. Stop for a moment. Someone's high, someone's low, and they're having a conversation. Just like,
Mm.
you know,
Get
do
visual with
it.
it
Go
essentially.
for it. Go for it. As long as the writing is tight and
Mm.
the choreography is good, all that can flow really well if you do it well enough and pace it properly.
Right.
Because you don't want to make things too long, and then it's just like, well, you don't have a couple of episodes to make this conversation go. You have about 2 to 3 minutes. Keep it moving because it's a 2 hour film.
Mm.
Did you ever, by the way, feel the runtime? Did you ever felt like you felt the runtime in any way?
Uh, no, I don't. I don't think
I
so.
didn't. I had to pee definitely by the
Mm.
end of the
Like this movie
movie.
doesn't feel long,
Yeah, it,
but it
it
doesn't
never
feel
felt
short
long to me.
either.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Same sentiment. It never
Okay.
felt it never felt like I was sitting there for 2 hours and 12 minutes or whatever.
Mm.
But I also was like, I definitely sat here for like 2 hours.
Mm. I do think they
You
could
know
have
what I
added
mean?
more to like just to the story in general, which probably would have made it feel longer. But yeah, I agree. The I guess the pacing at least just felt appropriate. Is the word I guess I should use more for that
Yeah,
description. But yeah, I
yeah.
agree. I
I think my overall thing with MCU movies is I would like to see the emotional one-on-one confrontation
mm,
instead of the giant CGI battle. Not that I didn't enjoy the giant CGI battle I got in this movie because I did. But also, if you're gonna have a martial arts movie, end it with your best martial arts fight scene possible.
because sometimes in the martial arts movies, those scenes are kind of long because you feel it. Like even if they're not
Watch the
talking,
Raid 2 and
exactly.
watch the final fight.
Hmm.
That fight is a just a beautiful choreographed war,
Mm.
and you feel it.
Are you talking about the
And
kitchen
you're
scene or the Because I was gonna say, because then even the fight after that, when he's in the hallway fighting the girl with the hammers and the bat,
yeah, but that's
that's after the
after.
kitchen fight. Because that's the end where he actually confronts the bad guys.
Oh yeah, because he
Mm.
finally because he's going up. Anyway, watch that
Still not the
fight.
same sentiment.
Watch the last fight in the first grade. Like make it you can make it emotional, you can make it count and make it cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of what I wanted to see, where it's just like, no, Shang really has to go for it and have this moment where he's like, I could kill my dad, but I'm choosing not to.
Mm.
And then have that moment where it's like, oh crap, there's a thing that's bigger than both of us that we both need to team up and stop.
Then the dragon
Let's
comes
work
out.
together, Dad. They both have a set of rings. They're fighting, they're fighting, they're fighting. They're doing good. They have that moment where they take that glance at each other, they smirk, and then the monster grabs them, kills them. He
Mm-hmm.
throws him the rings, and then you do everything the way it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like go full anime with the bad boy. Do it. Don't be afraid of it. Do it. Embrace it. Embrace it. Shang-Chi is that chance for you to embrace it. Also Iron Fist, but we're not there yet. Hopefully in time.
Not yet. Oh, but yeah, I guess we can do overall.
Not because I want to see a white boy. I just mean like because the potential of those two meeting
There's a
and
dragon that
having a
exists now.
disagreement
Like,
in fighting, yeah, we're a step closer to Fing Fang Foom, which is great.
exactly. I
Also,
look
if we get Fing Fang Foom before Modoc, I don't know what we're doing.
before more. Okay.
I mean, there's no more Iron Man, but you can give Riri
Mm.
the villains we haven't used yet.
Loki, have you watched the Modoc show on Hulu?
I watched first episode,
I never
couldn't
watched it.
care less.
I literally have heard no one talk about the show, so I'm like, it must just be trash.
I've heard a couple of people talk about it, and it's just like it's a not must see, so I'm not gonna go see it.
Eh, that's fair.
I saw the first episode, and I was like, ah,
Mm. That's fair. So yeah, so what? So I guess last question: what's like your favorite fight scene in this movie?
the one on the bus
Mm.
because it's in daylight.
Mm.
It's beautiful, it's cool, and it's our first like that's our introduction to Shang-Chi.
Mm.
And it's perfect. And also the fact that, hey, thank you, Simu Liu, for doing your due diligence and learning the craft and being able to do the majority of your stunts. Thank you.
Mm.
Because that matters and that's important. And as actors, we do learn stage combat. And I feel like a lot of actors, they always like, listen, I get it. Not everybody wants to do stunts and work like that. And not everybody's expecting anybody to be able to fight like that anyway.
But if
But
you're
hey,
auditioning for this
know how to
part,
use a broadsword, know how to have an unarmed combat fight. Like, do
mm.
it. I love that stuff, man. Like me as an actor personally, doing sword fighting, doing hand to hand combat, like it's awesome. And the things you can do within your own skill set too. Like you can make an interesting fight with someone who's not that experienced. It's just how you work with them. I just feel like give these people, give these actors the time.
Mm.
Because like the fact that if I don't start seeing Mahershala Ali training to be Blade with sword work, what are we doing? You get him a trainer, like you get actors' personal trainers to get in shape for these movies. Get them stunt trainers, martial arts trainers. Don't just give them 3 months to
Mm.
learn basic moves so they can at least get through the motions. No, get them 6 months and
Mm.
make sure that they have solid footwork.
We'll
So thank
see.
you, Stephen. And so that first fight scene is dope because it's fun. We get a lot of Katie in there too, so it's like it's that even balance of comedy.
Mm.
The dude from Spider-Man was back as the blogger, which was awesome.
Oh, that's
Hey,
okay.
Spider-Man, do a backflip.
Oh, okay. Okay, I did not know. I thought that was just a brand new character that they just put in
Nope,
the movie.
same guy. I love it. I love the fact now that like we are that deep into the MCU that we can just throw
Leave it
people
out.
anywhere. It's great. And I love it. I love it because it makes sense. He's a New Yorker. He'd be there. I mean, he's in San Francisco now.
Mm.
But also, if I was a New Yorker and I've seen all the crap New York went through, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to San Francisco. All they got is a giant dude. That sounds fun.
And now I'm on a bus watching somebody fight with a dude with a sword arm. Maybe I
And
just
so
need to
that
go
was
work
great.
on it.
As not like long standing YouTubers, but as freshly started YouTubers. I felt that where it's like, gotta do it for the content, big. Gotta do it for the content. Speaking
Mm-hmm.
of, we'll get to the Fast Furious at some point. We'll finish that. We'll finish it.
There's no rush.
Life, people. Hey, guess what? Life gets in the way sometimes. Sometimes things come up. Sometimes you get a booking and you got to
Mm,
rehearse, and then you got to go try. Then you got to go do the show. And then you get home, and then you're tired.
mm-hmm. That's true. But yeah, I agree. I think my
Sometimes you work a job you hate, and you just go home. And all you want to do is shower, eat, sleep.
that's fair. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. My favorite
I'm not talking about my job. I like my job. Thank you, yeah.
no, my job is great. It's the people I work with who are annoying. Like it's just people who complain, and I'm like, we literally get paid to do the most simplistic thing ever. Like it's easy money. But yeah, my favorite action scene I would agree is the bus. But I was really hoping that the bamboo scene, because I was like, oh, are we about to get some Rush Hour 2 like Jackie Chan, like just straight up bamboo action here? But then I realized the that was a like skyscraper of a building. So like they're not about to do anything that far away from the ground,
Mm.
you know. But then, and I hope that like I was hoping that the fight between Shang and the Death Dealer would have been more impressive because I think the lighting for that was perfect. All of that, I'm like, I'm here for this, but it didn't really go anywhere, unfortunately. But yeah, the bus scene is probably my favorite as well. Shout out to Shang's costume. It's cute. It's adorable. Like it's just
He had
the
the Jordans on the entire time, bro.
yes, like I was like, yes, just give me the dragon scale armor, jeans, sneakers. Call it a
That's an
day.
easy cosplay right there, bro.
Hmm.
So many dudes gonna be like, "Yo, I get to wear my Jordans and go to Comic Con. Let's do it."
Exactly. And Loki, I mean, Loki,
All my
I
Asian
mean,
homies, I know what they doing. I know what they doing.
they ain't doing flips in them joints though. They not putting creases in them whatsoever. They walking on
Oh, none of
eggshells.
them doing backflips. None of them can actually do a backflip. They messing up their kicks, but
Right.
they at least know, yo, I'm getting some photos taken. I'm a little right.
Exactly.
Get the nice cut, clean shave.
Hmm. Oh, and also before we get to like the final post credit scenes and all that stuff, there's a theory I want to throw out at you.
Also, I do want to talk about the whole real quick.
Hmm.
I do want to just give a shout out. I like the use of Wong throughout the MCU right now. I'm really
Hmm.
digging it. I'm really digging it. Like, yes, make him matter.
Great
He
actor, so
should be
like let's
important.
do stuff with
He
him.
should not just be the Jarvis. He should not just be the Alfred. He needs to be his own character because in the comics, yes, Wong is more so like the billionaire's butler that helps him fight crime.
Hmm. Exactly. And now with
I'm
Doctor
glad he.
Strange doing the multiverse of the madness stuff, he's like, hey, you got them rings? We need to figure out what's going on here. Like, what y'all up to? Well, like I
And I
like
like
the
the fact that
agency.
he has things going on that I feel like will get fleshed out. And
Hmm.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a Wong TV series one day in the second
Wave of
slate
Disney
of
Plus shows.
Disney Plus. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, because you got to get the other side characters stuff going on, and I feel like they're doing it. They're doing it better this time around, where they're like, all right, we're gonna set up our side characters a whole lot better, and just
Hmm.
have them flow in and throughout the MCU instead of just being like stuck in this one franchise and then eventually coming over. Like, no,
It's
just
also
sprinkle
easier
them
because you don't have to pay
throughout.
them as much.
Exactly, and you don't have to use them for a long period of time in any like specific
Hmm.
movie. If they're like in this movie, oh, you got a bunch of voice acting work in What If, good.
Hmm.
You
Oh,
covered your pay.
you filming Doctor Strange too? Oh, real quick, Wong, since you're done here, come here so we can film with Captain Marvel, Mark Ruffalo, Simu, and Aquafina real quick. Bam, there go another paycheck for you. Thank you. We appreciate your time. Call it a day.
I mean, they're all filming right now anyway, so they could
Hmm.
have easily just been like whatever set they were on because they're filming She-Hulk, they're filming the Marvels, they're filming um and I mean this movie was shot a while ago, so anyway, like
Hmm.
maybe not. Maybe
Well, we know
probably
this could have been the first movie he shot coming back as long after Endgame, for all we know.
also like the fact that he gets
Or
to have his hair. Good
They
job.
also probably could have
Vaughn
filmed
looks
it
good with
during
hair.
that. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I agree. Like I'm happy.
I just want to shout that
Benedict
out.
Wong is
Trevor
doing
Slattery was fun. Yep. Please, people, go watch Marco Polo because Benedict Wong is amazing in that show.
Did that
It
show
was
ever
already
end or did it
canceled.
get canceled? Oh, I was about to say, didn't it
It
get
got
canceled or
canceled.
something?
But
Mm.
him, Thousand Eyes, best parts of that show, hands down. He is so great as a con. It is insane. Benedict Wong, like that's where I fell in love
He's
with this
legit.
man. Yeah,
He's a
that's why I'm
legit
like,
actor.
yes, please use him more because unless he's doing period pieces, he's not going to be like doing a lot of things that I'll hear about.
He also has a nice
So I'm
voice, and
glad.
like he needs to do some voice work.
Yes,
Like he'd be
he
doing
just needs to be
something.
in more movies.
Right. Oh, but yeah,
Like put him
so
in more outside of the MCU.
that's true. But yeah, so here's my theory real quick, or here's my proposal to everyone. So during the events of Loki, the show, we know Loki been traversing or doing the multiverse stuff ever since the first Avengers, technically. Even though the Avengers went back in time in Endgame, Loki was doing all that stuff, breaking the timeline, the branches, all that. So I am officially saying that Kim's Convenience is canon to the MCU. That is a branch. Simu Liu, that is a branch. Jong, because I want Appa to be in. I just want to see that character's reaction to seeing Shang with the bow staff.
And he's in Star Wars. They both on Disney Plus. That's all that matters.
Hey, it's as whatever, as long as they get him in here, because I just want to see that character's like reaction to like, oh, Jung, you have rings and a dragon.
Well, we probably actually get that payoff
Maybe, who
of their
knows?
relationship.
Probably. Oh well, we're not. The
I'd
show
love for
ended.
them to just have a podcast and then do an improv scene of what they thought it would look like.
Mm.
Do it. Why not? Like your actors, go for it.
And Paul already has
That's
the
what I would
intro
do.
song.
Like if I was ever part of something that got canceled, and then I was like, you want to just like shoot the crap and like just end it ourselves, like just come up with what we think playing those characters would
Mm.
just naturally do. Let's do it. Improv, baby.
And
Every
Paul
actor
has a
learns
YouTube
improv.
channel where he reviews Star Wars like toys and collectibles, so they got a platform right there for it. So it can work. But yeah,
I wish he wasn't in The Mandalorian so he could review The Mandalorian. So I could watch him talk about it. But since
mm,
he's in it, I can't.
right. But yeah, let's get in these two post credit scenes real quick. Knock them out. You said your theory, like you think it's related to the Celestials potentially. You know, the beacon that's being sent out.
I think it's either connected to Kang in some way, or Galactus in some way,
Mm-hmm.
or some type of being. Like it's not from Earth. It is something
Mm-hmm.
space and time and all that jazz influenced. Um, so that's what I have about that. Also, like on that, I just want to ask you real quick, just to add into this,
Mm-hmm.
what is also your thinking of the phrasing of the Ten Rings will return instead of Shang-Chi will return? We all know Shang-Chi's definitely going to return, but the fact is the Ten Rings going to be, because his sister's going bad,
Mm-hmm. To some
right?
degree. I think she's just starting her like when they set up when she said if my father won't let me in his empire, I'll make it
Also,
my own.
sorry, before I forget, fun thing is we see one of the former Black Widows in the
Oh, in the
fight
fight
scene, and
ring.
then back at the training at the end of the movie too.
Mm.
So those Black Widows are going to be popping up here and
Look,
there,
I'm
and
just
I'm
saying
excited.
the Dora Milaje exists, the Black Widows exist. Zhao Ling got the 10 rings, and she's bringing women into this. The citizens
Well,
to
some of
allow
those women
exist.
are now Black Widows
Mm-hmm.
in the Ten Rings, the new Ten Rings.
Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is I better see all of them in some action in the next big culmination event, whatever it is. But to answer your question, I think it's interesting because one, I also agree. I think the rings are future tech because I think specifically they're Kangs. Like my idea is that after the multiversal war that Kang was a part of, at some point one of his versions had the actual rings, and they just got knocked back through time, through I guess essentially the sacred timeline, and then whenever Kang ends up being like big bad for whatever Avengers movie it is potentially, Shang is going to go back, get the 10 rings, and use them against Kang, but Kang is actually going to be like, oh, I know those things. Let me show you how they really work. Because I feel like Shang and Wenwu use them on a very primitive level. And then once Kang realizes that they have these rings, he's going to be like, oh, let me show you how these actually work.
Yeah, but now here comes the thing. They're basically infinity stones. So how
Mm.
do we get around? Because each ring has its own ability and own thing that it does.
They also
And
never set that up, though, yet, potentially.
I know, but I'm just talking about in the comics because
Mm.
as nerd glasses, when
Mm.
I was reading Iron Man before 2008, um, you know, like that's what the Mandarin did. Like each ring had its own power, and
Mm.
he would use that in different ways to fight Iron Man.
Which that would have been an interesting fight,
So
Wenwu versus
we've
Iron Man.
already done the Infinity Stones, and they basically are like slightly lesser versions of that, but there's 10 of them.
Mm.
I had the idea of like that it would suck, but there is a stone in each ring, and so they could be transfigured into actual jewelry if need be. But there's like a stone, and eventually each ring has an ability that it can actually produce.
Mm.
Um,
That might be actually more work to set up specifically.
yeah, because it's Infinity Stones.
Mm.
Not that they actually are, but it's pretty much the same gist.
Yeah, I just think they're future tech and like they allow you to um, control elements, specifically air. It appears, or at least
Mm.
vibrational frequencies. It appears because also I don't know how Alter Rings can also do a Kamehameha ball. Like that's really unclear to me. Because I'm just like, how can Shang do that, but his father can't? Like, what exactly? I guess that was explained when he learns the dance or the combat dance that his aunt taught him that his mother did in the beginning, essentially.
Yeah,
But yeah, who knows? We'll see. Like clearly, there's a beacon. Somebody's coming. Might be
but
Silver
also,
Surfer for all we know.
yeah, who do you think it's calling?
Uh, I think it's a Kang variant potentially. Like I think it's
So
called
do you think
Jonathan
we're just going to
Majors.
get a bunch of Kang variants throughout the MCU moving forward?
Probably.
Like once
I feel like
Multiverse of Madness starts?
probably because also I'm just
Because
like
that's technically the big Avengers esque movie, right? That's the event film.
for Doctor Strange and Wanda. I don't know if anyone else will show up in it though.
I think we will. I think we'll get variants of a bunch of characters we've seen.
Mm, maybe who knows? I don't know, but I
I
think
think
it's
Spider
Kang.
Man is supposed to be the movie that's like, hey, get
Period.
ready. We're about to get weird.
Mm,
So they're going to give us fan service in terms of nostalgia, but then they're
mm,
also going to give us fan service in terms of now you're going to see actors currently in the MCU playing different versions of their characters that are also well known in the comics.
mm.
Like we're getting white Nick Fury meeting black Nick Fury. I pray. Give
David
it to
Hasselhoff.
me. No, like go legit. Like give me an actor that you'd be like, wait a minute, I wouldn't actually hate seeing a Nick Fury movie with this guy.
Mm,
Give me that kind of actor.
mm.
You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Mm,
Give me that kind of actor where you're just like, wait a minute, that actually be kind of fun.
mm.
Because I love
Okay.
Sam Jackson, but we're never going to get a standalone Nick Fury movie because he's old. So I'm never going to get to see Nick Fury be Nick Fury.
Right.
So if you got to give me, don't recast that version of Nick Fury. Just do the other version of Nick Fury.
Mm. Yeah, I get that. But
And
yeah, who
no,
knows?
don't put David Hasselhoff anywhere near the MCU. He's a madman. He's insane.
Uh, but yeah, like I don't know what could happen. I'm also just basing it because they specifically got Mark Ruffalo and Brie Larson in that scene, and like that's very like science and space based. So I'm like, it has to be someone. I mean, there's also Wong because it's there. It could potentially be magic, but I don't think it's magic. Also, like
Mm-hmm.
it can't be Galactus or the Silver Surfer because like, what does Galactus need 10 rings for? He's a planet eater.
What if they are beacons for the planet? Once the planet's in right condition, it then sends out a message. And that
To
lets,
Galactus.
like, these aren't the only 10 rings in the universe. There are a bunch in different planets, and they're just waiting to tell their master that, hey, this planet is ripe for the taking. Just a theory. I'm not like
Hmm.
100% like dying on that hill.
It could be a nihilist for all we know, honestly. Some random Marvel villain that no one's actually thinking about and whatnot. Or it could be someone related to the Celestials. Or who knows, maybe Thor Love and Thunder might explain some of that. Because that's also, because like, I think that's one portion of the MCU where it's like, we still have yet to go into space really with this. Like, we're now doing the multiverse. I'm like, we barely been in space with these characters yet. But who knows? But thankfully, we don't have to think about it because there will be enough videos on YouTube where others will try and figure it out. Not saying that we're about to watch them, but like we don't have to spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure out exactly who every character or every potential villain is going to be.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like Jonathan Majors would want to play the villain with 10 rings. Because I feel like that's also why he signed up to be Kang, is because he's about to just play a bunch of different versions of
One,
it.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold on.
It's the
Trying to
Tendo
figure this out.
Commandments. It's the Tendo Commandments number one.
7.
Sorry, that's a Hamilton reference, people. Mm. But yeah, while he looks that up, guys and girls, everyone, let us know what you think about this movie in the comments. Is it your favorite Marvel movie? Is when were your favorite villain? Is Shang-Chi now like your favorite hero? What do you think of Xiao I think she was pretty cool, especially since this was like the actor's first role in the movie.
What if the 10 rings are calling Shumagora?
Who was that? Oh, was that the tentacle thing?
Yeah.
Why would they need rings?
Shumagora.
What can Shumagorath do exactly?
Oh, that's a video for another day, my friend.
Because I didn't.
I'm not
The first
getting
time I
into
ever heard
it.
of it was when the first episode of What If dropped. That's the first time I've ever seen a Shumagorath ever.
No, you played Marvel vs. Capcom too.
No, I haven't. Told you I never played that game or those games.
I
Mm.
want to take it for a
But
ride.
that's interesting. Let us know in the comments who you think the rings are calling. Or send us
We're
links and
getting
whatnot.
Shumagora. We are eventually in the MCU getting Shumagora, and I can't.
Mm. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah,
Shumagora
overall,
has to show up in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. For sure.
probably. Who knows?
For
Probably.
sure.
We'll see.
That's my last.
But yeah, let us know in the comments what y'all think. Overall thoughts. We enjoyed this movie. It's fun, even with the things that we mentioned. It's still entertaining. Um, Congrats to the box office results. This movie made a ton of money, which we're happy for. That means we can get a sequel. We can see more of these characters. Blah 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 blah. All that good stuff. You got anything else to say about this movie in general, by any chance? Shout out to Abomination. At least we know the characters around, so they can show up again. You know.
Well, he's showing up in She-Hulk. Um,
Oh, that's right.
yeah. Shout outs to how Abomination looks now. Um, Shout out to Wong. Shout out to Tyler, Trevor. Shout out to Katie. I know we didn't really get into it, I also think Shang-Chi's sister was a nothing character in this movie, just in terms
Mm,
of emotionally impactful. She didn't really do much. And I hope
that's fair.
that gets corrected for both of those characters moving forward.
I am
My
impressed
last
for this being her first movie, like ever. Like I will give her that benefit. I'm just like, cool.
great. Give her more to do.
Which they probably will.
I like the idea of her character. Give her more to do.
Mm. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Cliff. That's Seek the Geek. Like, share, subscribe. Check out our audio versions of these videos. All the links will be down below. Blah 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 blah. Until next time, we hungry, we hot, we sweating. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.